What's good, Fin Nation? What's good? It's your boy Reason. Back here with another one, as always, joined by the Jason Taylor to my Zach Thomas, EMdolphinfan. Staying hydrated.
What's good, homie? Fins Nation. I hope everybody's out there being safe, and I hope everybody is enjoying this breathtakingly beautiful Sunday afternoon like I am. Let's get it, baby. Let's get it.
Bro, every time I hear someone use the word breathtaking, I always think of Seinfeld. Or with the baby. When they have to go up, you gotta come see the baby. And they go up to the cottage and they go see the baby. And like Kramer flips out looking at the baby because it's so hideous. And then the doctor's like, yo, that baby really is breathtaking. And the problem was he had called Elaine breathtaking. And then he calls an ugly baby breathtaking. So she's like, what am I, ugly, basically?
I wouldn't know much about that. Not much of a Seinfeld fan.
Yeah, you need to get that. Greatest show of all time, brother.
Oh, The Sopranos, really? Come on.
Yeah, well, yeah, we're talking
comedies.
But we're also talking 10 seasons and way more episodes.
I'll take your word for it, homie.
Sustained, bro. It's better than Friends. I'll be the first to tell you that. All right. Well, what? Don't tell me you're a Friends fan now.
No.
All right. Okay. All right. We're good.
No disagreement there, bro.
All right, man. So, we got a lot of news to go over today. Not only we got our topic of the day, but we got we got 7 news articles, news pieces that we want to go over. And let's start off with a really good one that has 3 pretty big nuggets inside of it. And, man, I got to say, it brings a smile to my face when I hear these kind of things, man. So we'll go over this. We'll start up a little bit. And basically, we're going to go over Jordan Love. We're going to go over Jordan Love. We're going to go over there's a little bit of news about Justin Herbert in here. And, there's a lot of good stuff. So, basically, Tony Pauline, he just did his mailbag, and he had a lot of interesting tidbits. So let's go over them. So were the Miami Dolphins really going to draft Jordan Love instead of Tua Tagovailoa? How about Justin Herbert? His answer. This is a great question. Let's begin with Justin Herbert. I can tell you that all the smoke around him and the Dolphins liking him was false. In fact, here at PFN, we reported this when we found out at the NFL Combine that Jordan Love was actually their 3rd quarterback on the board after Joe Burrow and Tua Tagovailoa. That said, there were still holdovers from the Mike Tannenbaum era who were making a push to draft Herbert. Ultimately, though, their voices did not carry enough weight. What are your thoughts on that, EM, specifically?
Well, I mean, we had talked about this, leading up to the draft process about the possibility. I mean, it's no secret who their clear top two choices were with Joe Burrow and Tua Tagovailoa. There was no mystery there. But as far as Jordan Love is concerned,
brother, the hate I took from certain individuals over having Jordan Love as my 3rd, and I'm not talking about you, but you saw the certain pushback I got, especially from Herbert advocates that I had. That I had Love as my number 3 guy, and I had him. If you go back to my quarterback big board again, Jordan Love was my 3rd on my quarterback big board that you can go watch. So, I don't think we're as far off as people think we are.
Yeah, I agree. I was high on Jordan Love as well. I was even in terms of my evaluation on him and Justin Herbert, but it's no surprise there. You were out ahead of that as far as Jordan Love is concerned, and.
But I was saying to people, you guys got to think, besides Joe Burrow and Tua Tagovailoa, when you look at who's the one player they got in there before the whole COVID started shutting things down, it was Jordan Love. It wasn't Justin Herbert.
You're right.
And Justin Herbert would have been the one you would have wanted to see just as bad as Jordan Love because in terms of his tape had been like even keeled. It hadn't really had that trajectory. So you want to see that firsthand, man. You'd want to see that live arm firsthand to see what you could do with it. So I want to see Jordan Love and Justin Herbert before I saw Tua because he's got so much tape where I basically know what I'm getting, and before I see Joe Burrow because you don't have to be a rocket scientist to know they're more polished, right?
Exactly. So, yeah, I understand the intrigue with Jordan Love, immensely talented kid. I wouldn't have been. We all know who our preference was.
Yeah,
obviously it was Tua Tagovailoa, but like we said consistently on the platforms that Jordan Love would be a very good consolation prize if we weren't able to obtain the draft rights of Tua Tagovailoa. But let's just be grateful that we were able to get the guy that we want. And yeah.
Hey brother, I drafted Jordan Love in my dynasty league because that guy has landed in such the perfect situation. It's ridiculous. So, another guy, again, you talk about Curtis Weaver, you talk about Jeff Gladney, you talk about Jalen Reagor. These were guys I was banging the table for. The original OG I was out here banging the table for, besides Tua, was who, Mr. Tristan Wirfs. When people didn't even know who this kid was, I was dropping knowledge on this kid. And Tony Pauline was asked, speak to us about their 18th pick, Austin Jackson, what happened there. He said the Dolphins really like Austin Jackson's athleticism, and he is a guy of high character. Remember, he was a bone marrow transplant donor to his sister, and the athleticism and ability in open space is two things me and you have always highlighted about this kid. Besides the fact that he's 20, he's still impressionable, and therefore he's still easy to coach up because he's so young. This is the type of player that the Dolphins regime values. While Jackson has a high ceiling, he also has a low floor. Again, something everyone here has identified because of how raw he is right now. It will be interesting to see how fast the Dolphins bring him along and where they ultimately slot him on the offensive line. With that said, I can tell you that I heard from credible sources that the Dolphins tried to make a move for offensive tackle Tristan Wirfs. And while people discredit the Dolphins by saying the Buccaneers didn't give up much to move up one spot to draft Wirfs, the fact is that the San Francisco 49ers wanted Javon Kinlaw, and they were afraid to drop all the way down to 18. Ultimately, unless the Dolphins offered a bounty, they didn't have much of a chance to move up. So I was one of the people who was saying package your 18th with your 70th, okay? Because the Buccaneers, I believe, gave up, the 15th or the 15th or the 4th. No, they gave up the 14th. They moved up to 13th, and they gave up the 117th, I believe, with it. So do you now that you hear that, do you even think the 70th would have got it done added to the 18th, or they would have wanted that 56th?
No, I think they would have wanted that 56th.
Okay. I'm not giving up Raekwon Davis.
No.
Yeah.
No, I don't think the Dolphins wanted to play around with the possibility of missing out on Raekwon Davis or having to find themselves in a situation they have to mortgage additional capital to get him. Because I think it's about 3 players that they targeted. 3, 4, I would say 4 players that they actually had to have. It was a must-have in this draft, and I think Raekwon Davis was one of them. He and Tua, obviously, but yeah. With that being said, man, that's no
surprise, right? Because again over here, right? When they made that move to trade up, right? When they made that move with the Colts to trade up, when they sent what's his face to the Colts, the defensive tackle. Remember the defensive tackle they traded the first pick.
DeForest Buckner.
When they traded DeForest Buckner, what did he say? They're either moving up for a receiver or they're going to try and take Javon Kinlaw or Derek Brown and stuff him in the middle there and just replace it, right? And that's exactly what they obviously did. And I agree because you know what? The thing is, I really think that would have been a tougher call for Jerry Jones between CeeDee Lamb and Javon Kinlaw, right? That would have been a way tougher choice for him because Javon Kinlaw would have been such a need there. Even would he have got past the Atlanta Falcons? Probably not. Right? So I mean I can't knock it.
Yeah, bro. But yeah, obviously there's a lot to like with Tristan Wirfs.
You're gonna ask me if I'm gonna take Austin Jackson and Raekwon Davis or I'm gonna take Tristan Wirfs. And even though I think Tristan Wirfs is the superior tackle, especially at this point.
I'm taking Jackson and Raekwon Davis.
I'm taking Jackson and Raekwon.
Yeah. So, but yeah, there's Tristan Wirfs, obviously, bro, there's so much to like about that kid. Ultra athletic, but again, in terms of athleticism, he's more refined and he's more in a technical aspect of his game at this point than what Austin Jackson is. But in terms of athleticism, those two are pretty much on par. So again, we missed out on Tristan Wirfs, but again, Austin Jackson's raw athletic ability is a very good consolation prize as well. So I'm not, I get, he, from a technical standpoint, he's not where he needs to be, but again, 20 years old, but the requisite physical ability is there. The requisite, obviously, athleticism and from a strength perspective, his raw functional strength is there. So I look for big things for Austin Jackson, to be honest with you, Reason, because we talked about this on several streams back, that when you're talking about from an offensive line standpoint, what do they struggle with the most? It's the physical aspect of the game. And I just don't see this kid. You see the requisite traits there. So I don't necessarily see this kid getting overwhelmed physically, that you see a lot of tackles and guards when they're transitioning from college to NFL. I don't see him getting overwhelmed because you see the traits are there. So if he gets down the mental aspect of the game, the technical aspect of the game, we could be looking at again. My expectation for him is B+. If he turns out to be a B+ player, we hit a home run with this pick at 18. And again, and if you're talking about if you're floating around this possibility of mortgaging picks to get worse and settling for him as opposed to the fallback plan being Austin Jackson and Raekwon Davis. I mean, obviously this was the move to make, and I'm glad the Dolphins didn't pull the trigger on Tristan Wirfs. No indictment on the kid's talent.
It would have been now, if you're going to ask me who I would have taken, Austin Jackson, Brandon Jones, or Tristan Wirfs, I'm going to say Tristan Wirfs.
Well, no, I'm going to have to disagree with you there as well, bro.
Because Tristan Wirfs, to me, is going to be a perennial Pro Bowler. I don't see that from Austin Jackson.
Okay. Well, again, I think if I'm not looking, see, that's where fans get caught up in, especially when teams select players high. Immediately the bar goes up to Pro Bowl level, multiple, Pro Bowl level. There are excellent players in the NFL, bro.
My number one offensive tackle on my big board.
Okay, I get it. But from a fan's perspective,
and I will also say this: he is more athletic than Austin Jackson.
Slightly. But
so you're talking about a guy who's more athletic, who's way more technically sound right now. Yeah, I'm like.
But again, we don't necessarily need a Hall of Fame player to be successful at that position, bro.
The thing is,
there are excellent.
You heard Richmond Webb when we had on it about talking about the blind side. With the thing is, when you look at who's going to be coming out this year, I believe the number one right tackle I have right now is Abram from Auburn, and he's not as good as Tristan Wirfs. The thing is, the right tackle class is nowhere near as good this year. And the thing is, the premier tackle of that draft was a right tackle to me. And you're not going to get that again. And you want to make that investment in a right tackle. I want to protect that, pay that blind side. I don't want to pay some guy where the traffic is oncoming anyways. If I'm going to be choosing, this is what you want. This is how you want this line with a left-handed guy. You want your right tackle to be elite. You want your left tackle to be solid. Because those are two different pay grades.
Well, I'm looking, bro. I say this again. The New England Patriots have built a 20-year dynasty off solid from B to B+ players.
You resort back to that every time. We're not the Patriots, bro.
I understand that, bro. But you want to
because we've also pulled from the Ravens. We've been pulling from other teams who run. basis.
You can even talk to you brought up the Ravens. Okay. Are any of their offensive linemen Hall of Fame guys? No, they got very good to solid B to B plus players. That's what they built there. And again, I know I keep comparing, but don't you want some of that success that these franchises have had over the last 10, 20 years? You don't want the success? You don't?
My head, I can name two Hall of Fame offensive linemen that they've had in the last 10 years.
Who? The Ravens?
Yeah, Marshall Yonda.
Jonathan, I'm talking recent hits. I'm not talking.
Yeah, Marshall Yonda.
Borderline, maybe. He's not a lock. He's not a lock. But anyway, my point is, I'm looking for players. If this kid develops into I'm not necessarily looking for him to be a perennial Pro Bowler. If he hits that ceiling, so be it. It's icing on the cake. But if we look to structure our team and we get B to B plus quality out of our players, I'm telling you, that is going to go a long way. And if that happens with Austin Jackson, we have hit this out of the park. We hit a home run.
Don't use the Patriots as the foundation with the offensive line, especially after last year, because it was bad at times last year, especially on the back. Their offensive line on the back half of the season was not that good.
Well, they had a lot of the center was injured. Okay, they had a lot of injuries up and down that offensive line. So, but again, they still was in the playoffs.
Yeah, they
still were in the running for the number one seed in AFC.
Yeah, because for the first 9 games, they had a historic defense that got them out to like an 8-0 start. So you only had to win like 2 to 3 games of your last 8 because they started off 8-0. I mean, that's the value of starting off 8-0 is you only got to win 2 to 3 of the remaining 8 to finish at 10 or 11 games, and you're basically in the playoffs, especially in the AFC.
For us to achieve that level of success, the structure needs to be a team. The roster needs to be rounded out with C plus to B plus individuals. We only need to be A and A plus at that one position. That's the quarterback position. If we do that, we will have the same type of success you see the Patriots have had, and the Baltimore Ravens and Pittsburgh Steelers. Bro.
If you have an A plus offensive line or an A offensive line, and you have an A or an A plus quarterback, then your receivers and your tight ends, they can all be the Bs, because this guy, between his talent, because he's an A plus, and the offensive line of what they're going to give him in terms of blocking for the running game, because they're an A plus, and pass blocking because they're an A plus, they're going to allow Bs to become B pluses because of the blocking. They're going to, and the time they're going to give the quarterback, and the blocking they're going to give the B running back in the backfield. So I'm a belief in you hit the home runs with the offensive line and the quarterback, and then you build out around them. And if you go and get an A or an A plus receiver, it's a rookie who's on a rookie contract.
Well, I'm a firm believer if you hit an A or A plus on your quarterback, a player that's performing at that level generally elevates the play of everybody else around him. So Brady
the offensive line usually elevates the play of the quarterback as well. They go hand in hand.
Maybe not. No, I don't necessarily agree with that, because you look at if you're going to give a guy, if you're going to have a B plus line, and that line is going to give you what? Let's say 3 seconds, 2.9 seconds. Okay. Mm-hmm. But and then they're going to give you pretty good running lanes, but you're going to have an A plus line that's going to give you 3.2, 3.3 seconds, because those matter, and they're going to give you wide open running lanes. Like here, look at it this way. If they would have had, if the offensive line would have been healthy last year, if they would have had, you go back to Dak Prescott, right? Why is Dak Prescott so successful, and why is Dak Prescott why is Dak Prescott in the position where he's asking for as much money as he is? That offensive line has been one of the Dak Prescott is not an A or A plus quarterback.
He's not. Look at what
that's what I'm saying.
Offensive line has made from like a B minus C plus looks like a B plus.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's a bad example because what did I say? I said as long as you get an A to A plus quarterback performing at that level, his play should. It's a lot of things you can do to master offensive line. Okay, you look at and again, I hate to keep going back to the New England Patriots, but I'm gonna use them as another example. The Patriots, they never had, maybe with the exception of Logan Mankins, the right guard. I would say he might be more of a lock to make the Hall of Fame than what Marshall Yanda is. But they feel that they have, again, the success they've achieved over the years. They have a 1 A+ guy who's arguably the best to ever do it, and they had solid B to B+ offensive linemen throughout his career. But again, once you compare that to the Dallas Cowboys in history, you compare that offensive line does not compare anywhere near to these historically great offensive lines that we've seen in the past. So what I'm saying is Brady, again, they were maybe C+ to B+ individuals, but Brady's ability to see the field faster than probably 98% of the quarterbacks, his ability to deliver the ball accurately in less time than probably 98% of the rest of the quarterbacks. So again, those two aspects of his game alone will help mask deficiencies up front, bro.
How many seasons he has with taking under 15 sacks, and
what's that?
Go count how many seasons he has with taking under 15 sacks and under 30 pressures, because they exist, bro, and they're multiple.
Yeah, but again, bro, but okay, but
a guy who's also had arguably next to Tony Gonzalez or Shannon Sharp, probably the greatest tight end of all time, too.
Maybe, yes, sir. I agree with that.
Such a good blocker as well. And you know what I'm saying? And I will sit here and say this too, bro. Like, you know, they're like, I really think like a Joe Thuney. I don't think he would have been like a Nate Solder. And Nate Solder, I personally think, I'm starting to believe when I look how Nate Solder turned out, when I look at Eric Flowers turned out first couple of years, this is bad coaching in the Giants organization. That's where I think that's at right now. So
that's legitimate.
I don't.
That's legitimate.
I think. I think I agree with you that there's a lot of B, but I do think if you look at them, like right now, even Thuney, you would consider him an A+ player.
Well,
so they still have A+ guys for theirs. Like even when Nate Solder was there, that's why Nate Solder got paid so much, because in that system, in that blocking scheme, he performed at an A+ level.
And what did he? Well, I wouldn't necessarily. I wouldn't.
And he went to a place that's now for the past 5-6 years had a history of busting out offensive linemen when they go there.
Well, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't put Thuney in that A+ category. I reserve that for players like a Quentin Nelson or a, the interior guy, the guard from the Cowboys, Zach Martin. I put Thuney a notch below those gentlemen. But Thuney's a good player. But again, I would say solid. I would say B+ to A. He's in that, he's in that realm. But again, man, I'm just saying we need to.
First of all, it goes B+, then it goes A-, then it goes A.
Well, yeah, in between there, bro.
Bro, that guy's an A. You're crazy, bro. That guy's an A. That's why they were so quick to franchise tag him to keep him away.
They didn't have.
Bro.
No, I look at it like this. They just
the cap, so they could have afforded to let him walk too.
Well, I look at it. They just don't have. They don't have his replacement ready to fill it.
Could have drafted him.
Could have, but again, what was available? They were limited in terms of resources, bro.
They were picking in the second.
No, okay. Well, who was available that you would say to give you the production that Joe Thuney is giving you right now? And on top of that, you lost Brady. You had all of these players that left on your defense.
Time to rebuild. Tank for Trevor.
Yeah. Well, okay. Oh, you're wishing you're hoping they tank for Trevor?
No,
really?
But if they were smart, they would have. If I was Bill Belichick, day one, I'm trotting Brian Hoyer out there week 1 against us, bro. And I'm saying, Brian, it's your time to shine. Roll with it, brother.
You know what? You know what reason? You know what, bro? You know what? Hey, you know what, bro? Ain't nobody scared of Trevor Lawrence. They can tank for Trevor. Bring him on. I'm not calling him the left arm guy, but we have Tua Tagovailoa at our disposal. Bring on Trevor Lawrence, bro. Let him tank for him.
Dude, I don't want
Trevor. Damn.
I don't want Trevor Lawrence in our division, bro.
Bring it. We ain't running from nobody. Bring it. We ain't running from nobody.
Okay, let's keep it moving here because, yeah, that was a lot of time on the tackle position. So last little piece from here, which is interesting. The Dolphins traded out of the 26th pick. What happened there? He said, I'm told the Dolphins were looking at Arizona State wide receiver Brandon Ayuk. This was first reported by Simon Clancy of 3 Yards Per Carry podcast. I was able later to confirm this with one of my sources. That one is interesting on the surface, but not too surprising when you look at the Dolphins wide receiver depth chart. Well, they have a lot of players of promise and potential. Those players can just as easily bust out this coming season. Ayuk would have been a nice fit and provided the beginning of a foundation for the future. They also like Cesar Ruiz, and he would have strongly been considered had the New Orleans Saints not taken him with the 24th pick. And they ended up drafting offensive guard Robert Hunt in the early second round, so they were likely looking to make up for their miss.
Mm-hmm. Man, that's I told you, we talked about this earlier. I told you privately that my brother had mentioned this a month ago that he had heard. He's obviously a San Francisco 49ers fan, and he had heard on some 49er platforms that there was a high level of interest from the Dolphins in this kid, which is why they didn't want to risk him getting to them at 26, which is why they traded up ahead of us and selected him at that point. This kid's got big playability, bro. No doubt about it. This is a surprise for me because of I just don't think the depth at our position. Again, do we have? I just don't think it would have been a glaring need. But this kid does have big playability. It was this story right here was somewhat surprising to me, but
not the Cesar Ruiz part, the Brandon Ayuk.
The Brandon Ayuk part. Because we were out ahead on that possible Cesar Ruiz selection, on previous platforms. But this Brandon Ayuk possibility was definitely a surprise because I just don't think from a depth perspective, I don't think there's no glaring need there, in my opinion. So I think this would have been a quote unquote luxury pick if they would have wound up selecting him. But to be honest with you, bro, I'm glad we opted to. I think if you're comparing the depth at wide receiver and the depth at our secondary, I think the move would have been to make with the selection of Noe Benogany as opposed to him, because again, I just don't think it's the glaring need. But we'll see how it all unfolds and how these two players pan out. I actually have watched a lot of Brandon Ayuk this year because, again, another player I've been banging for months that I've been talking about that I put a lot of people onto on the other platform was Jaden Daniels from Arizona State, the quarterback. Watching. He needs to gain weight, but that kid's going to be special, man. He's a freshman. He really lit up that screen when Arizona State played Oregon. So I actually have watched a lot of Brandon Ayuk this year. Kid's crazy talented, man. I mean, he's got he's like 6 feet, but he has like a 6'8" wingspan. He put up some crazy combine numbers with the 1.52 10-yard split. He only had a 40-yard dash, but I mean, he had a 40-inch vertical and he had a 10-foot 8-inch broad jump. But I'm kind of surprised that that was potentially the move, man. But I mean, this guy's explosive, bro. He's super explosive. So makes good breaks. He doesn't lose speed when he makes those breaks. So he's a really good player, man. He's got pretty good soft hands too, man. So and you'll really see one thing he's really strong at is selling routes. Like if you watch Arizona State, you'll see him. He'll get really low and he'll bend out his body, and he's got a flexible lower half to really sell those routes. So, and he's really strong, bro. The one thing I was when I saw this kid when he popped off to the tape to me was how many defenders just bounced off his body because of his strength, bro. And it's same whether it's the lower body or the upper body strength for the kid. So
I think he's really special. Brandon Ayuk, I think he's gonna surprise a lot of people. But I'm just surprised, like you said, with what we had going on in the room, that that's who they're targeting. You know, especially too, if you think about it, guys like Denzel Means were still on the board at that time too. The Cesar Ruiz is no real surprise because everything we heard was that the Saints kind of threw the Dolphins for the loop when they took Cesar Ruiz, and from everything I understood, that's why we traded back. So
yeah, exactly.
That's a surprise to me that we were so strongly linked to a player like Brandon Ayuk. So kind of crazy to me, if you ask me.
Definitely a surprise for me, bro.
So let's look at some Tyshun Render film. A little workout piece that came out yesterday. Man, people were it's kind of blew up for me for a little bit. Shout out to everyone who liked and shared this on Twitter. Got almost 100 likes on this, but check this guy. People were actually saying, "Are you sure he's a defensive end? Look at his hands," because there's some catching drills here, but the back paddling and turning and shifting.
You sure that's not the guy they're trying to convert to a tight end, bro?
No, sir. It's Tyshun Render.
He looks fluid. He definitely looks fluid. Look at his hips and look at his change of direction, bro. His feet. He looks natural in his movement. And if they're going to play him at that, outside linebacker or 4-3 defensive end possibility, he definitely looks like he has that ability to kind of, to buzz that flat, bro. Play on his face. So definitely fluid athlete. I'd like to know how strong he is because, again, for him to get on the field, I think first off, any player at that, especially as a UDFA status at that position, an edge player, which I think he could be, that's the position that he could be possibly transitioning to. It's going to be an uphill. We talked about this privately, but it's going to be an uphill battle because of the overall depth at that position. So.
We're talking about it's like an outside linebacker in the 3-4.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but again, I'd like to know how strong he is. But yeah, he looks like a natural. He's got natural bend, bro. Natural transitioning. In his movement. So we'll see. He's undrafted status. Apparently, there was a level of intrigue there for them to prioritize him the way that they did, and give him that signing bonus. But I don't think if you're going by that signing bonus they gave him, that doesn't solidify his roster spot by any means. He's gonna have to get out there and earn it. But
so just so you know, Bryce Stirk is the defensive end from Montana State that they signed. That he's the one that's transferring that's moving from defensive end to tight end.
What's that?
Bryce Stirk is a defensive end from Montana State.
Oh, okay. He's the
one that's transferring in. Like he recorded 20 tackles for a loss and 15 sacks last season. And they're converting him. I believe I put if I exit this, I think someone asked me, and I put up what Tyshun Render did at I think I have it here. I wrote it down. What Tyshun Render did. So right here. So he had 119 tackles, 19.5 tackles for a loss, and 6.5 sacks in his collegiate career. So he was a former two-star recruit. And right here I do say Render was given $65,000 up front by the Dolphins to sign, 41st most out of all 442 UDFAs. So
yeah. You can see the profile is there, bro. He looks to be about 6'4", 6'5"-ish. You can see the long arms, the length is there. And again, his movement skills.
Look at his mirroring there.
Yeah. The movement skills are definitely there, bro. So you can see the intrigue, but again, I just think because of the overall depth at that edge position, I just think it's going to be an uphill climb from anybody. But definitely another story to be paying attention to moving forward to as we get to training camp, because that's going to be another battle as well. lot of it's going to be an absolute battle every single day at really is at all positions, really. But yeah, I'm anxious to see him get out on the field and see what we have there. Hmm. Impressive. Can you hear me, Reason?
Yeah, I can hear you, bro.
Oh, okay.
I was muted, so I was just saying that from what I understand, the reason why he kind of showed up on people's draft radar is because his head coach directly reached out to Belichick because his head coach has a link with Bill Belichick.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah,
Hmm.
so that's how he started to come onto people's radar. So let's go over some housekeeping here because we kind of rounded out our coaching staff a little bit. Um, and that's we added to our coaching staff. So the Miami Dolphins have added the son of University of Iowa head coach Kirk Ferentz as the coaching assistant and former Kansas City Chiefs running back Colby Smith as offensive quality control coach, according to ESPN NFL reporter Field Yates. The Dolphins have rounded out the coaching staff by hiring Steve Ferentz, the son of Iowa coach Kirk Ferentz, and as a coaching assistant, and former Chiefs running back Colby Smith as their offensive quality control coach. So you're seeing the coaching staff again continuing to come together. Flores continuing to put his pieces in place. And obviously, I mean, the one thing we have said and why I trust his coaching moves is because you saw how quickly he was able to adjust and to adapt to the mistakes and the flaws he saw on his coaching staff last year in terms of removing guys and letting guys walk.
Hmm. I can't hear you, bro. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, bro.
Okay. You're cutting in and out, bro.
Give me 1 sec, okay?
No problem. Y'all give us a second. Reason seems to be having some technical difficulties, as always. No, I'm kidding. Anybody out there in the okay, he's back. Can you hear me, bro?
Yeah, I can hear you, bro.
Okay.
So what you see here is, Chief Tua here is working out his bad hip, doing some leg squats. I mean, they could go a little tougher on him. You see him. This still leads me to believe he's not quite 100% yet. Obviously,
Mm-hmm.
there's no doubt about that in my mind. So, man's putting in the work though, bro.
Oh,
Strengthening that hip, bro. Getting ready.
yeah, bro. He might. I really don't think he's. I mean, considering his injury just happened in November, bro. Um, I don't think there's any way that he's 100%. He might. I'm sure he's close. But I just want him to be. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, bro.
Oh, my bad. Okay. Um, I just want them to get him up to speed and get him as healthy as he could possibly be before they even entertain putting him out there. But another positive video. You see him getting there. You see him putting in the work. Um, you see the work ethic. You see the dedication. Um, so, I mean, I don't think that was ever his work ethic and all those his intangibles were never in doubt. So it's good. It's refreshing to see that he's all about that action, and he's going to get there. He'll be there sooner rather than later. But yeah, I just want the approach to be. I want them to err on the side of caution with him, get him up to speed, get him as healthy as possible, and before they entertain putting him out there. So Definitely encouraging to see.
So sticking with the whole training thing right now, a bunch of Dolphins players, although they're not permitted to work at the team facility, they've been working out and getting coaching and direction from Pete Bomarito, the respected longtime trainer and owner of Bomarito Performance Systems, which has trained NFL players and other sports for well over a decade. At least 4 Dolphins have trained with Bomarito, and he said 2 other receivers, two other players, Alan Hearns and linebacker Trent Harris, are planning to work out there as well. So, and that means Bomarito has done more hands-on training with more Dolphins players than probably anyone on earth since March. So here are his thoughts on here are basically 5 intriguing thoughts from someone who's had his hands on these players. On new running back Jordan Howard, a guy with that much size, strength, and power isn't supposed to have quick feet like that. Everyone thinks he's big and bruising. If you watch how fast he is and how he can accelerate, how quick his feet are, he's very rare. The Dolphins got a gem. Okay. On new defensive end, Emmanuel Ogbah, who had 5.5 sacks, 11 quarterback hits, 32 tackles for a loss and forced fumble in 10 games for Kansas City last season. When you look at his skill set, anybody with a brain, plain as day, can see he was on his way to having a career year. It was a fluke injury, something that can happen in the sport. You will see the real Emmanuel Ogbah this year. He's a 280-pound guy who can run at 4.5. In terms of personality and character, he's perfect. On receiver, Albert Wilson, who was slowed early last season by the effects of a 2018 hip injury. Wait until you see him run, Bomarito said. This is the fastest I have ever seen him. Not only does he have the badass, shifty side and quick feet, but you look at his second gear and he looks spectacular. You will see the second gear this year. Danny Isadora. He's 100% healthy. I trained him since he was 14. Since coming out of 8th grade. He's an old school badass player. He can move the pile. He's athletic. His combine numbers were spectacular. Big guy that can move. And it says here, Isadora will compete with rookie second-round pick Robert Hunt, Michael Dieter, and Shaq Calhoun for the right guard job if Jesse Davis holds Hunt off for the right tackle job. And here we go. Someone we brought up that people have forgot about, bro. On receiver, Gary Jennings. It was like an old school 7-on-7 out there, and he put on a clinic. His routes were outstanding. We're talking about 2 straight hours going up against top defensive backs in the league. He was a 4-3 guy at West Virginia and is still a 4-3 guy. I had all pro cornerbacks on those fields last Friday, and they said he's the real deal. All he needs is a shot. He has the skills to be big time. Bomarito didn't reveal the cornerbacks in attendance for that session, but one player said Indianapolis close to retired Pro Bowler Xavier Rhodes was among the corners on the field for Jennings' big day.
No surprise there.
That's going to be fighting Mac Hollins, your boy Mac Hollins.
Yeah, Jennings. He and Danny Isadora, bro. We haven't been paying that much attention to them, but this is very encouraging to hear, bro. With now Isadora, both of them really are very good athletes, but I'm just talking about Isadora. I'm going to talk about the offensive line right now, but Isadora is a very, very good athlete, bro. Very good. He's athletic. He's strong. He just was last year, bro. He just was nicked up good portions of the season, and I think ultimately we wound up placing him on IR last year. So yeah, man, I think we've been we haven't been paying him enough attention to he or Jennings as well, bro. Jennings is another excellent athlete, 4'3" guy. He's about 6'1", 6'2", big-bodied receiver. And I think he's this will be going to his third year? Third year, yeah. So another young guy in our wide receiving core, bro. So again. Yeah, bro. Not only Mac Hollins, but your guy Kirk Merritt, all those guys, bro. It's going to definitely be an uphill climb for him because there's a lot of talent. There's a lot of talent in that room, bro. But Albert Wilson, man, can you imagine if this kid gets back to his 2018 form prior to him injuring his hip, bro, what kind of player we all remember what kind of player he was before he got hurt. Can you imagine that kind of dimension implemented into this offense, bro?
His yak ability was nightmarish.
Oh, crazy. I mean, it was crazy. So, that is, I think,
he was literally the definition for that period of time where just get the ball in his hands in open space. And
absolutely. Absolutely. And he's good. Man, you put him in there. We saw flashes of that, the second half of the season. He was starting to get his wheels back. He started to get, he got healthy, started to get more healthy. And you saw flashes of that speed and quickness when they placed him primarily in that Julian Edelman role last year, and he was just carving teams up the last 3-4 games of the season. But if he gets that second gear back, oh man, we could be talking about a monster year potentially for Albert Wilson. Everybody's talking about Devontae Parker and Preston Williams. Albert Wilson is like, bro, do not forget about me. Do not forget about me. So that is very encouraging to hear. And I definitely can't wait to see this kid, what he's going to bring to the table this year, bro. Might be, in this article, that might be the most encouraging, the most encouraging player in this article. Jordan Howard, we pretty much know what we're getting with him. We're both high on his skill set. But yeah, to hear that about Albert Wilson, we can't wait, man. The season cannot get here fast enough, bro.
So I want to share a bit of a college tidbit, and this is basically Florida has started to beat California to the punch in terms of Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is signing the College Athlete Name, Image, and Likeness Bill. Effective July 1st, 2021, college athletes in Florida can sign paid endorsement deals. Florida jumps California as first state to give athletes these rights. What do you think about this, bro? You can see how, now states are trying to beat each other out to be the first one to do this. Like, for me,
it's about time.
It's
about time, bro.
I hope NCAA football, the video game, comes back based off of this, because that game is amazing.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
That's what I'm praying for out of this. But I mean, you're getting now this. Here's the thing: do you think now that some people are going to be getting money before they kind of hit the big time and they can take care of their families? Do you think this is going to either allow them to focus on football more, or is this going to sidetrack their football more, their focus on football more?
Well, you're going to have I could see. I could see things. Well, first off, I'm 100% in agreement with this. So it's a long time coming, and it's about time, the NCAA stop profiting so much off of that free labor, bro.
Agreed.
I call it free labor at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. But yeah, totally in support of this. It should have happened a long time ago, to be honest with you. But, I can see it's a kind of a double-edged sword. You can kind of see players getting, there's going to be cases where players, they receive this money and, they maintain their level of focus, on their craft. But then again, you can also see guys somewhat fall by the wayside and get complacent and, allow their potential, the pockets getting fat, and they might get a little complacent in terms of their dedication to their craft. So I anticipate seeing, both situations with players, but at the end of the day, man, that's just that's just a risk you got to take. But again, they've been robbing these players for too long. The NCAA has, and
bro, you know what's big about this? Not only would we get the NCAA game back, but no longer would you have to download the names for everyone on everyone's roster. You would automatically get the names inserted, bro.
Yeah.
So the thing is too.
Absolutely.
A guy like Johnny Manziel would have never made it to the NFL if this was in place back then.
Yeah. I know, right? But
then again, you know what? You could probably weed out the guys that wouldn't be able to handle the fame at the next level, because at a young age, it's teaching you to handle the fame and to handle the money and to basically cope with that stuff. And if you can handle that throughout college, you'll have no problem once you get in the NFL, because let's be honest, the amount of enticing endeavors on a college campus
Mm-hmm.
are almost just as much as a night on the town of wherever
Mm-hmm.
your football team is, right?
Yeah.
Especially with the women. Like, let's not even.
Oh,
Like,
absolutely.
that's even probably higher
Absolutely.
on college, right? You know what the
It's
fact
gonna,
of the matter is? You know what's going to happen? Like, you look at a guy like Will Greer, right? When Will Greer came out of West Virginia, I'm pretty sure he was married and he had a kid or two. A little allow guys like that to be able to take care, of their kids when they get there, right? Because although you might not get large national endorsements unless you're
mm-hmm.
continuously a highly ranked team, you will get local endorsements probably everywhere because of how big even these lower tier college teams, how big those cities and towns they play in, how massively loyal and dedicated they are those teams. You'll still at least get local endorsements, but
Yeah.
it just won't be anything like on the national scale. And
I'm,
to
what, I'm,
get those, you're gonna probably have to win.
what I'm curious to see is what the pay structure is going to be.
Yeah.
How they regulate that. That's what I'm gonna be playing. That'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But yeah, man, long time coming, bro. They've been profiting off that free labor too long, and it's time to compensate these guys. And I know these universities would not be, especially these top universities all across your Texases, your Arkansas, your Miamis, your Clemson. They would not be and generate that kind of revenue without their athletic programs. It just won't happen. It's just not possible. So long time coming, bro. And I'm happy for the kids. So they at least when they go, get to college, bro, that'll be, relief for them where they don't have to worry about worrying about where their next meal is gonna come from, and worrying about, getting caught up in, these scandals. And so
Yeah.
I'm glad so happy for the kids, man. So
Don't have to take money from boosters anymore.
absolutely. So they don't have to worry about that, man. So
all right. So our last piece of news before we get into our top 5 players under 25. So this is all about Tua Tagovailoa, guys. And remember, when I showed you those squats, I was showing you Kevin Wilk from Champion Sports Medicine Facility. Well, this is an article regarding that a little bit, but it's a little bit more in depth. So Kevin Wilk was basically asked about Tua's recovery and where he's at, and he said he's doing miraculously well. The miraculous part is that he healed so well. The second part is he's been so well at getting his strength back, which usually takes a long time after something like this. Tagovailoa spent 3.5 hours each workout with a special emphasis placed on 3 areas of his body. His hip, which is recovering from a posterior wall fracture and dislocation suffered in November. His ankles, which both underwent tightrope procedures while in college at Alabama to aid the healing process from high ankle sprains. And his left shoulder with a short throwing program to maintain and strengthen his throwing arm. So he's trying to add some yardage onto that. Over the course of the workout, Tagovailoa would run, lift weights, do agility-type drills, stretch, get his soft tissues work, run a stationary bike, and do some throwing with friends running routes. I wanted to share this part right here. After his workouts, Tua Tagovailoa would stay at the facility for Zoom meetings for the Dolphins' virtual offseason program. You can barely talk to him when he's at the clinic. He's either doing exercises or his face is buried in the iPad, learning the system.
That's my guy.
He's laser.
That's my guy.
One of the most focused I've ever seen anybody, to be honest. So this is a guy.
Let's go, baby.
So
Let's
check
go.
this out. Wilk, who has more than 30 years of experience working with athletes like Michael Jordan, Bo Jackson, Drew Brees, and many more. And he just said he's laser focused, one of the most focused I've ever seen anybody, to be honest.
Pardon my language, but let's go, goddammit. That's my guy right there. That's the dude. That's the guy. God damn it. I apologize for my language, but oh my God, I'm getting goosebumps right now. Oh, love to hear that, bro. Love to hear that.
And he even said he's a little bit ahead as far as where we would like him. We're constantly trying to slow him down just a little bit because an athlete like that is just chomping at the bit, just begging to get back out there. He wants to do more and more, so we have to hold him back. And really, that was from the beginning. He's always wanted to do more.
Sounds like this kid is on a mission. Reason.
This isn't anything new, right? We said that he would be.
This sounds like this kid heard a lot of that hate that was going through our community all last year, and he is coming into training camp, into our program with an enormous chip on his shoulder.
And I also wanted to say that yesterday, guys, Saturday, which was Saturday, obviously, Tua Tagovailoa was expected to officially move from Alabama to South Florida, as the NFL has recently eased its restrictions for players to be able to visit and work at its facilities. So Tua Tagovailoa, as of yesterday, is officially in South Florida, guys.
Yeah, bro. All seriousness, bro. Man, that's the guy, man. That's all of the, intangibles that, from an intangible standpoint, that Greer and Flores was consistently, when they were asked, all last year about, what do they look for? What are the qualities they look for in a quarterback? They all first thing came out of their mouth was intangibles. And this kid, man, obviously we all know what his physical ability is, but this is very, very encouraging to see that he's.
What were things we talked about, bro? Besides the talent and his on-field ability, we talked about his ability to galvanize the players around him.
Absolutely.
But we also talked about this was a guy who he walks into the room. He
commands the room.
He doesn't need to say a word. He commands it because he leads by example. We talked about with his injury, guys. If you go, and I mentioned this for months, I've been saying this. If you go back to his injury, okay, not only was it because he was extending the play, but if you actually dive even deeper into it, what did they want to do? They wanted, and Tua was pushing for it. Tua wanted to run the 2-minute offense because they haven't had very many opportunities to run it and practice it. So that was him going out there in the last 2 minutes when he got injured. He was at a competitive level. They could have pulled him out. Saban wanted to pull him out, but he said, no, I want to go in there and I want to run. And that's why I said that's where Saban needed to be an adult and he needed to say, no, kid, you need to go sit down. But Tua is such a competitor and he's always wanted to better himself. He wanted to go out there and run the 2-minute drill, bro. That's the type of player you're getting, bro. You're not alone. And why did he get injured? Because he's such a competitor, because he wanted to extend the play and go for the home run.
Absolutely.
So you see it in different facets of his game, the type of competitor he is. So this shouldn't be a surprise to anyone. And people tried to mock me for me telling you guys what Trent Dilfer was saying years ago. Not when Trent Dilfer was on his campaign trail for Tua getting drafted. Years ago, what was Trent Dilfer saying? How one of the big things was how quickly he was learning and picking up NFL level playbooks.
Exactly.
So you got kids here. That's why again, my subjective opinion, guys. Every quarterback, no matter who you are, should sit for a year. But what do I always tell you guys? I don't let my objective opinion or my subjective opinion sway my objective opinion. What's my objective opinion? He's going to be comfortable in this offense, very similar to what Steve Scarsazian ran. All we've said he's got to basically get acclimated with is the terminology a little bit and the game
speed of the game.
And the game speed. Yep. That's it. Yep. He's already ahead with this system of what Changeli runs, air raid concepts with the RPO spread. It's basically almost identical. So that's why we tell you guys, him and Fitzpatrick do have a leg up on Josh Rosen as soon as those playbooks were given into everyone's hand. Josh Rosen's learning from scratch with everything. Tua, familiarity with what's going to be ran, concepts, etc. Brian Fitzpatrick has already been in the offense. Changeli runs for 5 years, so he has a leg up on Tua as well. So if you actually go into it, Tua, I'm telling you guys, you got a dog at the quarterback position, man. You got a competitor. You got man. Like you guys saw it. did no talking before that LSU game last year when all the media was talking about it. But what did he go out there and do? If Jerry Jeudy did not drop that pass, he's winning that game. He's bringing them back, and he's winning that game.
On one ankle.
On one ankle.
And arguably, 2 weeks after surgery. 2 weeks after surgery.
EM will probably tell you the greatest college team, but I'll say I'll blanket it with a top 5 college team of all time. And he brought them back on one ankle, and he should have beat them if Jeudy would have caught that ball. So, he's like we said so many times, Derek Stingley, I don't care who won what award, Derek Stingley, when you watch the tape and break down the analytics, was clearly the best corner in college football here. And Tua took him to the freaking house, bro. So that's all I got to say. And he took him out to the house outside of the numbers.
Yeah.
Where the big boys take corners outside the house.
We should be, as Dolphin fans, we should be ecstatic to have this kid, and again, I'm just talking about just his raw physical traits. That's why not only us, but a lot of people were so high. They had such a high evaluation on this kid. He has special, rare traits. And again, when you have a level of understanding of what it takes to be successful at this level from that position, and bro, you're like, bro, you just get so excited because we haven't seen a kid with this level of ability since, Mr. Marino retired 20 years ago. So again, like I said before, we should just all embrace this kid, get on that Tua train and support him as much as we possibly can in our own ways, because when this kid gets up to speed now, and again, I'm just going off of his physical ability. I just think everything is aligning from a coaching standpoint, infrastructure, organizationally, and then also the schematics. Everything is aligning for this kid to just come in and just set this league on fire, bro. And I mean, earlier, sooner than later. I mean, we could have potentially, if you're, projecting his talent level, it could be a real possibility. We could be sitting here in, next year or the year after, and him having a Lamar Jackson type impact on the league. And we could be sitting here crowning him the MVP of the league. This kid has that kind of ability. Mm-hmm. So again, man, I'm telling you, this is extremely refreshing to see and hear. This kid is about that work, bro. And again, he's not sitting and just resting and kind of, becoming complacent just off of his ability.
He's not sitting idly by and basically saying, because I got drafted at number 5, the keys are going to get handed to me. He's going to grab those keys. He ain't going to have them handed to him.
And also that interview we were talking about on our last stream, that interview he had at the combine, that's what that was telling me. It wasn't a matter he was deficient in those areas. He just wants to get better and better and better and better at his craft. Because obviously, when you dig into the analytics, what areas of his game that he's deficient in?
And what I'm saying here, with Tua's understanding, and when the game slows down for him, watch out, NFL. And you're right, bro.
I'm telling you, bro.
And when does the game slow down for you? When you get acclimated to the game speed. And I think it's going to happen a lot soon. Here's the thing. I forget who it was yesterday. I should have saved it. But I read something yesterday where they basically said, hey, it was an article, and they basically said, hey, if we see 2 games of tricks, because of 2 things, because of Flores' A, desire to win, and because B, his desire to put out the best, to field the best team that gives us the best chance to win. If Tua looks like how we all expect him to look like, if we're 0-2, don't be surprised if you're seeing Tua in game 3, because they still want to salvage that season, and they think that Tua could at least do something like that.
No doubt. And also, something, and Fitzpatrick, he'll be 39 next year, 38. He might have that. He might fall off a cliff physically, bro. His arm might die on him. We've seen that with players, through the years. So we need to be paying. That's another story we need to be paying close attention to.
You saw it his last couple of years. At the back half of the season, it starts to die out on him a little bit.
Yeah, but I
He
think,
starts,
you
he
know, I
starts
think
depending more on intermediate accuracy than he does of zipping it in there, right?
right. But I think this past year it was because he had, we couldn't move the ball any other way except through the air. So, but
Well, you
again,
saw it in Tampa too, right? That's why he had those bad couple games because
yeah,
remember how much he was throwing in those first 3 games where they were lighting people up? He was throwing
mhm.
a ton, right? And then you saw it started to kind of yo, honestly, bro, with his arm and at his age, you want him only throwing 15 to 20 times a
20
game.
times a game, really. Yeah, absolutely. I
Yeah,
agree with
you
that
don't want
100%.
this guy out there throwing 30 times a game.
Yeah, no,
That arm's
no,
gonna
no,
be
no.
dead by week 10, bro.
Oh, yeah, definitely. So, but again, hopefully, with the additions that we made, in the off season, that'll provide enough support for him so he can, this won't be an issue for him. So, yeah, but this is, man, I'm telling you, bro, season can't get here fast enough. This is extremely encouraging to see, uh, Tua putting that work in like that. And again, he seems like from the articles that I've read and the information I've received about him in terms of his rehabilitation, it sounds like this kid is on a mission. He has come into this program with an enormous chip on his shoulder, and he really didn't even have to. You know what I mean? But the fact that his kid is showing this level of dedication this early, I don't ever remember any reports like this talking about Josh Rosen. I don't know. Did anybody out there in the comment section ever hear anything like this about Josh Rosen? So again, he's about that work, bro. And that example that he's setting, that's going to be tremendous for our culture, bro. Because all the players are going to see him putting that work in like that, and they be like, "Damn, I need to step my game up as well." This dude is going out there getting it, man. So a lot of players are going to see that and learn from him, and that just benefits the overall team as a whole. So very, very encouraging to see. Let's get it, man. Let's get it, bro.
All right, bro. So let's get into the top 5 players that we have under 25. So we have a lot of similarity. We actually only have one difference on each list. We'll start off with your list. Don't mention who my difference is. Then we'll go into my difference after yours. So EM's top 5 under 25. Tua Tagovailoa, go ahead.
I'm going to start from number 5 and go all the way up to 1. Obviously, 2 is number 1. You just gave it away.
It's already on the screen, bro. It's already on the screen.
Oh, I didn't see it. My bad. Okay. But I'm going to go with Nick Needham at number 5. I'm going to go with Raekwon Davis at number 4. Raekwon Davis at number 4. I'm going to go with Preston Williams at number 3. Christian Wilkins at number 2. That might be a little surprising for some people. And obviously, Tua Tagovailoa at number 1.
And so my top 5 is going to be, I'm going to go Raekwon Davis at 5. I'm going to go Mike Gesicki at number 4. Nick Needham at number 3. Preston Williams at number 2. And Tua Tagovailoa at number 1. So let's start with you, brother. Back to your list. Christian Wilkins. Why do you like him so much as to have him as one of your top 5 players under 25?
I think Christian Wilkins, and I know I've been somewhat critical of him this past year in terms of his consistency, and it was justified in my opinion, but that was not an indictment on this kid's ceiling, on his kid's raw physical ability. I just think, I made the comparison within this defense to not to make another New England Patriot comparison, but I look at him, his overall physical skill set, it's very comparable to what Richard Seymour was in New England in his prime. Big, strong, athletic guy, heavy hands, sailed in two-gap principles, two-gap concepts. I think Christian Wilkins is that versatile chess piece. You can line him up, and we saw, we saw last year how they deployed him. They lined him up all up and down that defensive line. We saw him standing up. We saw him obviously with his, playing with his hand in the dirt, playing that 0 tech, 3 to 5 technique. I was watching that I believe it was the Cincinnati game where they had him in on one of their unconventional packages, exotic packages, if you will. They had him. He was the only defensive lineman. I can't remember exactly what the alignment was, but I remember post snap, they had this guy actually out in space and covering the middle of the field. And I was like, bro, that blew me away, man. And again, that's a testament to this kid's athleticism, his ability to play in space. But once this kid gets his consistency down technique-wise and how they're going to move him, and again, we talked privately about that article that I found about how, the Dolphins deployed him last year. We're going to have a show about that here in the next, in the coming weeks. But not to give too much of the show away, but he's just a versatile player, and this is a staff that prioritizes versatility. I just think his overall ceiling is immense. It's through the roof, and obviously the coaching staff love him. I mean, you heard it out of Brian Flores' mouth when he said when they were, asking him about Christian Wilkins and his potential and whatnot, and he was glowing in his. Obviously, he holds him in high regard. He said he's going to be a big piece of what we're going to do, moving forward. So yeah, love his overall ceiling. Love, I just think he's gonna, he just needs, just like any, last year was his first year, his rookie year. He's just a player that needs refinement. That's no different than any other player transitioning from college to the NFL. But once he gets his craft, once he gets his technique, his consistency down, because again, the physical traits are there, this kid is going to be a monster player. And again, I think Richard Seymour, if you people don't realize how good Richard Seymour was, a borderline Hall of Fame player, and if you remember how the Patriots deployed him within their scheme, you see a lot of similarities in terms of how they're going to deploy him within our defense. So not saying he's going to be Richard Seymour, but I think there are a lot of similarities in their overall games, and I just think his ceiling is through the roof. So very excited about this player. Very, very excited about him.
So the reason why I have Gesicki over top of him in terms of my list, that's where our real difference is because, you look at last year, right? He played what? I think I got it here. He played 374 slot snaps. He was the 11th most of all players. He was only one less than Connor Kupp, but he had more than Jarvis Landry and Golden Tate. And then when you actually look at, his production in those, when he was actually put into that position of having to be coming out of the slot, his production was pretty decent when you actually consider, I believe he had the fifth or sixth most uncatchable ball, the fifth or sixth most highest percentage of uncatchable balls thrown his way on targets. I believe 41.3% of his targets last year were actually deemed uncatchable. And when you actually look at the fact that he was able to put up 382 of his 570 yards out of the slot, that's got to give you hope, especially when you look at Chan Gailey. When you look at Chan Gailey, when he had Tony Gonzalez in 2008, he had 459 snaps out of the slot. Now, we've talked about the fact that he won't be getting out in the field as much because of his where his blocking game is right now. But I truly believe if you improve that blocking game and he becomes even a competent blocker, I believe he's going to become one of the best tight end weapons in the NFL, man. I think this guy has a really, really high ceiling. Really high ceiling. I mean, the guy was targeted 80 times. He had 51 receptions, and he only had 3 drops, which is, that shows he's got the pretty soft hands, man. I like what this kid – the one thing I've seen even as a receiver, we all knew he had the ability, but even when you look at him year by year, he's putting more on display even as a receiver. It's like he's making up for his incompetence as a blocker, which is putting on more and more on display as a receiver and as a
Is
threat.
he really?
I think he is. When you look at how
Is he really?
has gone year by year, yeah. I mean, last year his yards per reception were 11.2. The year before it was only 9.2. So a full yards after catch. In 2019, he had 184. In 2018, he only had 101. So, when you look at first downs, last year he had 25 first downs. In 2018, he only had 9. When a quarterback passer rating when targeting him, in 2018, the quarterback passer rating was 74.9. Last year, it was 100.5. So you can see, and I mean, you don't even got to get in the yards. He had almost a 370-yard incline from 2018 to 2019. And then, yeah, man, even when you get into the grades, right? This past year, he put up a 60.5 offensive grade. The year before, he put up a 50.2. And as a receiving grade, this year he put up 60.5. The year before, he put up a 54. But this year, where the big improvement for him was, he put up a 66.6 pass blocking grade. Last year, he put up a 42.4. But where he suffered this year was he put up a 48 run blocking grade. That's where his liability.
And that's my concern.
Yeah,
that's why I didn't put him on my list. That's why.
But I think the talent is. I think this.
Clearly. Clearly. I mean, clearly. I mean, his athletic. I mean, he blew up the combine. He's got. I mean, his numbers were like ranked historically good. I mean, they were historically good. But my only concern with Gesicki is, will he ever get just, will he ever become just a competent blocker? Because I just think if he develops that aspect,
he started to become a better pass blocker, so you hope that into the run block. Yeah,
exactly. But I want to see that growth and development in the run game, because again, it adds another element to the overall offense. Again, when Gesicki is lined up in line, 90% of the time teams know they're throwing the football because he's so inept at running at run blocking. So he develops. He gets. Look at how people talk about Gronk's receiving ability when they're talking about how great, in terms of how great he was. Gronk was it. What was most impressive about me over his career was how dominant he was in a run game. I mean, he was like another tackle out there with receiver type traits. So, and Gesicki
that's what Kelsey and Kittle have.
Kelsey as well, exactly. So Gesicki, and he has that ability. He might even be more athletically superior than all of those guys, but he's just inept at run blocking.
He had this, if you remember, as a receiver coming out of Penn State, just strictly as a receiver, there were a ton of Gronk comparisons for him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just as a receiver.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
And to be honest with you, I think he might be, and again, he's not the player, but I'm talking about physical ability. He might be slightly more talented than him. I think his catch radius is better than what Rob Gronkowski's was in his prime. I think there are certain aspects of his game that he's superior than all these other aforementioned tight ends that you talked about. So, but again, for Gesicki to be that, to ascend to that tier of players, he's going to have to get at least he must be at least competent in terms of run blocking, because again, that just adds another element to your another element to your overall offense. Because again, if teams know what you're doing, bro, it makes things that much more difficult. But if you have a player when you have the ability to keep teams off balance, it just opens the entire play, the entire playbook is at your disposal at that point. So again, Gesicki now, he's so terrible in a run game. Again, he's lined up in line, bro. More than likely 90%, 85% of the time, Miami's throwing the football, and opposing defensive coordinators know that. And teams' offenses are easier to scheme when they're tipping their hat to you in terms of whether they're going to run the football, whether they're going to pass the football. So again, for the reason why Gesicki, love the kid. I love Gesicki. I don't want anybody, to think that I'm not high on this kid's ability. I love his ability as a receiver. But again, for why he wasn't on my list is because of his ineptitude in terms of run blocking. But hopefully he's working on that. Hopefully he is, because but something, reason, to be honest with you, he really did, the way they use him, because he's primarily our slot guy.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, so, and I think that role won't change with Chan Gailey, but he really doesn't.
Chan Gailey's usage when he's had big receiving slot tight ends that you can fit in the slot. Chan Gailey's throwing them in the slot quite a bit.
Yeah, so that role won't change with him.
You just got to worry about a down block basically there.
Right. So, with that being said, bro, they might not prioritize him in that role, but I just think, again, from my list, that's why he's not on my list, because he's so.
I just think it's incredible when you look at what he put up when, 41.3%. I believe it's 41.3 or 41.8%. I don't have the number in front of me. I believe it's 41.3% of his targets were deemed uncatchable.
Yeah, his catch ratings is crazy, bro.
Yeah, so
it's off the charts. So it's smart for the Dolphins to deploy him in that way, because if you he's too big for cornerbacks or safeties, and he's got wide receiver speed. To be honest, he ran a 4.51, at the combine. So he's got that ability, and you saw the development in terms of his ability to sell routes this year. He implemented more. He just wasn't a seam guy last year. You saw him actually, winning. You saw the improvement in the development in his route running this year. So he just wasn't a seam guy last year, bro. When they went to those spreads.
On the flip side of Wilkins to make my list, I would have had to see more of what I saw from week 12 to 16.
I hear you.
I would have had to see that consistently, because if you look from week 12 to 16, against Cleveland, Philly, the Jets, the Giants, and Cincinnati, he, in terms of pressures alone, bro, alone, he had, he had what? He had, let me do the math quick. He had 8, 12, 14. He had 18 pressures in that span alone. Only one sack, but he had 18 pressures. He had he had 16 hurries. But then, you look at how he was against New England in week 17. Absolutely laid a goose egg. You know what I mean? When you look at the rest of the season, other than week 9 against the Jets, pretty much absolute week 9 against the Jets and week 3 against Dallas, he pretty much laid a goose egg for the rest of the year.
But again, a lot of what Christian Wilkins does, reason you're not going to be able to record it in the box score.
Oh, because he gets double team, he draws double teams.
Exactly.
And that was a reason why a guy like Taco Charlton and why a guy like Charles Harris are no longer here, because him and Godchild were drawing double teams, and all the best they could do is clean up sacks. They didn't even
they could not win.
Legitimate win with pass rush. They didn't have high pass rush win rates, even with other guys on the line like Wilkins and Godchild. Right?
Yeah, so, they couldn't consistently win one-on-ones. But now with the upgraded talent around Christian Wilkins, you can't just
can't
on him.
Yeah, see, but now the thing is, with all the upgraded talent around him, I better see that consistency that I saw from week 12.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I better not see 3, 4, 5 game stretches where this guy's laying goose eggs, bro.
Well, but if the overall statistics of the defense have improved, I'm not necessarily paying attention to his individual stats. As long as the overall,
I'm talking about like pushing pockets back. I'm talking about everything. Manhandled and double teams, and everyone else having to work.
I hear you.
To start cracking the top 15, and he's just getting thrown around like he really was for the first 2 games there. And the last game there, then we got an issue.
I'm looking at the overall success.
But realistically, because the talent around him, he should be facing less double teams as well.
True. I agree.
Right? So
But
it should open up a little. I'm not saying this guy's going to come out here and jump from giving us 2 sacks to double-digit sacks this year. I'm not saying he's going to go from giving us 30 pressures to 60 pressures this year. But, I want to see, give me around, you look at Ogba and these guys, give me around like 35, 40 pressures, give me 2 to 4 sacks again. And, and give me 30 hurries. And we're good, buddy. And we're good. And you've improved. You've been consistent. And what can you say? Because I really believe when you look at Raekwon Davis being added to this, even when Devon Gata being there, when they rotate in guys like Strobridge or whomever, you look at the guys, the power that's going to be coming from the edges of the
Zach Seiler.
Yeah, Zach Seiler. When you look at the power that's going to be coming from the edges with Ogba and Lawson, and when you look at a guy like Curtis Weaver, he should be there's no excuse as to why he should not be. He should be drawing far less double teams because let's be honest, last year on our line, really, who were you scheming for? You're scheming for Wilkins or Godshaw, and you're saying I'll double team these guys and see if Taco Charlton or Charles Harris can even impact the game. And lo and behold, they couldn't. Right?
Yeah.
Oh my.
I look at what's that?
I just said, oh my, we got a big donation.
Oh man. But I'm looking in terms of, for what he does, how he, his deployment within this scheme, a lot of what the interior guys, that's just by design. They, especially the interior, you just won't see a lot of what they do. You won't see their value. You can't record a lot of their value in terms of the box score. So again, especially when you get that now when you dig into the tape and you see him in those one-on-one situations, now if he is, if he's non-effective, and, when he's in those one-on-one type situations, okay, well, he'll be evaluated accordingly. But again, I think what he does and what he brings to this defense, his deployment, a lot of what he does, bro, it creates one-on-one opportunities for him. Because I still think he will be prioritized in terms of, how teams scheme our defense. He'll be prioritized still. So I don't necessarily think that, until the other pieces that we
until they realize they got to prioritize.
Exactly. Until they realize they have to prioritize it as well.
That's going to be a game one Bill Belichick in-game adjustment. Hey, we got to prioritize Raekwon Davis. That's going to change real quick. Yeah. I want to say here quickly, shout out Ricketic. There is how you can donate to the channel, PayPal.me/Phinside. But I wanted to say quickly too, and guys, also smash that like button. It helps with the algorithm. Subscribe if you haven't. We were at 880 this morning. So I wanted to shout out Joe B. Joe B.
Joe, what's good, homie?
Joe just gave us a $65 donation.
Oh man, bro, you're kidding me.
Joe B, you've been down.
Joe, bro.
You've been down to the other platform, bro. So much because you don't realize, Joe B, between StreamYard and our graphics, it costs about $75 a month to run the channel. So Joe B, you basically just hit us up with a full month of being able to provide content to all you lovely people. So everyone give Joe B a shout out because I can't say this. I just want to say this first. The past 2 months, guys, and by the looks of it, the next 4 months so far, so a total of 6 months, have been paid for by you guys. I want to thank you all so much for the support because that's a half a year of content. And like I didn't lie to y'all guys, when you make a donation, it's going right back into the channel. So
absolutely,
we appreciate you guys so much. You guys have been so strong in supporting us, and we can't say enough. Even in these trying times that are going on in this world right now, you guys still find in your heart to support us, not only financially, but even all of you who come out and spend a couple hours of your day, a couple hours of your life, and take a couple hours out of your time and your schedule to just spend them listening to us talk about Dolphins football. We appreciate all of you for, even gracing us with that kind of honor, because, time is money in real life. So we appreciate every single one of you guys.
That's greatly appreciated, Joe. You already know what time it is, homie.
So Larry, we don't have a Patreon account yet, because I'm waiting until we have after 1,000 subscribers, because when we hit 1,000 subscribers, we'll be able to take super chat donations exactly from YouTube. And I really don't think we're ready to be at a Patreon level yet. But the Patreon will come. I also have to plan out. I want to do levels. Like I want to do a $2 level, a $5, a $10, a 15, and a 20. And I want to have something for every level. So I actually have to sit there and plot out all those levels. So that's going to be something that will happen after we hit 1K. And like I said this morning, I don't know where we're at right now, but this morning it's been fluctuating from 876 up to 879, back down to 877. We were up to 881 last night. This morning we were at 880. I don't know where we're at right now. So once we get to 1K, we're going to have a special giveaway for all of you guys. Just a quick heads up on what that's going to basically be. Basically, all you're going to have to do is like the video that we talk about the giveaway, subscribe to the channel, and all you're going to have to do basically, I'm going to put up our email. We're going to have a specific email for the giveaway. Just send us a screenshot proving that you like the video and that you're subscribed to the channel, because you can screenshot it so you can get both in there where it says subscribe and it shows the thumbs up. You send that screenshot, you'll be automatically entered. And I really think you guys are going to like what we give away, because it's going to be very, very unique, and you're going to be able to customize what we give away. So we'll give those details away when we get to 1K. So you're gonna really like that. And like I said, guys, we get to 5K, I'm giving away a freaking jersey, and I'm giving away the Vapor Pro. I'm not giving away no screen printed jersey. I'll give away the Vapor Pro $150 jersey. And if we get to 10K, let's talk about signed memorabilia or even an authentic jersey. So until then, y'all already know. Oh boy, we just got another donation.
Damn, not again, bro. What? Y'all killing me over here.
Oh, bro.
Whoever that is.
Rick, my dude.
Shout out to the homie Rick, baby. Shout out to the homie Ricketic.
Dog. Ricketic. Bro, Ricketic just dropped $100 US.
Oh, man.
Bro, Ricketic.
Wow.
Yo.
Shout out to you, homie.
Appreciate you.
Hey,
There's no message attached to you, bro, but if you want to drop a message that we can share up here, bro, dog, like,
reason. Hey,
bro.
Hey, reason. I know you talked privately before we went live. You didn't want to open the platform up, but we gotta open the platform up for those two gentlemen, bro. We have to give them some exposure, man. We have to. There's no way.
So, okay, I'll drop the link, and Joe B or Ricketic, if either one of you guys want to come on, I'm just going to bring either one of you two guys on, just because I do have some stuff I have to get to after this. Okay, drop you a link about 15 minutes. Sorry, Ricketic. We're going to be out of here probably then, but next stream, we're going to be back tomorrow night. Ricketic will open it up. You can come on. I got a personal errand I got to run. So I won't be around in 15 minutes, basically. But Ricketic, tomorrow night we'll be going live again for our Monday night show. Like, you can come on, Joe B. Come on, man. Those are crazy donations from you guys. We appreciate you guys 110%, man.
But we appreciate everyone's support. Everyone.
Even if you just watch,
man, that
come down to financially. Even if you just watch.
Exactly. We appreciate everyone's support. Sure. Everyone. So. Yeah, but that's greatly appreciated, gentlemen. And man, you gonna have me up here shedding, dropping a few tears up here, man. Oh,
yeah, we just went.
That's our fan base. That's our fan base.
Yeah, we got the Terrell Owens. That's our fan base.
That's our fan base.
Yeah.
Oh man, but yeah, it's greatly appreciated. Shout out to both of y'all again, man.
Yeah, man, that's love, man. That's real love. We appreciate y'all both. But be sure you two tune in tomorrow night so you can come on, Joe B and Rick a Tick. We're definitely gonna open it up for you guys to talk tomorrow night because we got a couple things coming this week, guys. Friday night, Dante Colonelli is going to be returning to the channel from Blue Chip Scouting. You can also find him on Dolphins Brawl. We are going to go over the running back outlook for the Dolphins in 2020, and we're also going to look at how we think they're going to deploy our running backs. So that'll be a good one you guys are going to want to tune into. And then, of course, we are going to have our Monday show and our Wednesday show. In terms of topics, we'll let you guys know what the topics are going to be tomorrow night. Tomorrow, if you follow us on Twitter at Phinside the NFL, I post every day before we go live. Normally, I didn't post today, but normally I post what time we'll be going live at, what we'll be talking about, et cetera, if you want to keep up to date there. You can follow me at my personal Twitter at @the_real_reason. You can follow EM on his personal Twitter at EMdolphin. Like I said, don't forget to hit
EMdolphinfan.
Dolphin fan, sorry, my bad. You can also hit him up on PlayStation 4, EMdolphinfan, if you want to get that work on Madden.
Enter at your own risk.
Don't forget to smash the like button because, guys, it actually does help with the YouTube algorithm. It helps you pop up under suggested videos for people that are continuously watching Dolphins content. Again, subscribe if you haven't. Here's the link one more to anybody else who wants to donate for any reason. We appreciate you all. EM, hour and a half mark. Anything else you want to say before we get out of here?
Man, none but love to everyone. We are so appreciative of everybody. Again, everybody's support. Y'all coming out and listen to us. Y'all. I mean, man, I can't put into words how grateful we are for the support, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen. But yeah, man, I'm just blown away right now. Reason, wow, man, that people actually when Reason and I started, bro, I was like the nervous one. I can't speak for Reason, but I was really, really nervous. I was like, when we were just kind of floating ideas around, I was like, man, I don't know if I have enough knowledge or I don't know if I just don't know if I can do this, bro, on every week, pumping out 2-3 shows every week. I just don't know if I'll be able to do it. But the fact that, we got a lot of support and people are actually digging and receiving our message, bro. It's man, I tell you, it's truly, we're not grateful enough to you guys. And again, all due respect, always respect to everybody. Greatly appreciative of everybody's support, gentlemen. And y'all already know what it is, gentlemen. You know what it is, baby. All day, every day.
And yeah, because I mean, when we started pitching out the idea of starting this, basically one of the main pushing reasons was not only was it constantly being asked in the comments about, hey, when you guys are going to do your own show, what you guys have your own channel, et cetera, et cetera. We kind of wanted to create a platform where we could educate people, but there wasn't that arguing and there wasn't that continuous yelling. It could be a kind of calm, more cool, chilled mood and more like a two-man podcast. Because when you look at the YouTube community, no one's really doing a visual two-man Dolphin podcast. And me and EM, the reason why we've connected so well is because a lot of our football philosophies are aligned.
Absolutely.
And I think that's why we have a pretty similar knowledge base in terms of we're both film junkies. We just both love the nuances. We love to know the game inside the game. We have a continuous and a constant thirst for knowledge. Like here's the thing, people look at a play and be like, okay, that guy got stopped for a loss. We're out here, we're trying to create the mindset because this is the mindset we have. We're trying to create the mindset to our viewers and our listeners. We want you to be able to not only ask yourself, okay, why was he stopped for a 2-yard loss? But how was he stopped for a 2-yard loss? And what could he have done better so he wasn't stopped for a 2-yard loss? That's where we're trying to get people at, man. Like to that level of thinking about the game, the nuances of the game, man.
Absolutely.
And that's just that's what we're going to continue to do. We got, man, y'all don't. I'm telling you, for training camp, just pray this COVID stuff hold things up, guys, because we got something very, very special planned for the duration of training camp. And once you guys see what we're going to be doing this regular season, what our schedule is going to be like, and how involved we're going to try and have you guys, I think you guys are really going to like what we have in store for when the actual season comes into play. Because we got some pretty good ideas to help blow up this channel with your guys' support.
Stay tuned. It's coming.
And you know what? Another thing is you're going to see over the next week or so, aesthetically, we're going to be doing some changes to what you see when we go live. So stay tuned for that. We're going to just keep continuing and develop this platform and what we're doing here, guys. But yeah, man, we're at the hour 40-minute mark. I'm about to get out of here. Yeah, appreciate you, homie. Thanks for coming out again.
You know what it is, bro.
All of y'all in the comment section, even for the ones that were watching, didn't comment, who just were watching and enjoying the content. We appreciate you. Love to the haters, because I haven't even checked if we got any dislikes, but I'm sure there's one. So shout out to the haters, because you keep motivating us to be better. And
I'll say again, bro. Damn, that Tua article. I have goosebumps still, bro. Let's get it, baby. Let's go. Pardon my language, but goddamn it, let's get it. Tua, he is here, baby. He is here.
People shouldn't be surprised, because when we went outside of our on-field evaluation, we talked about how hard of a worker and the type of leader he was outside of it, and you already started to see that this guy leads by example. So, you gotta love it, man, because it looks like Tua, he's got that mentality of trying to be the hardest worker in the room. And when your quarterback tries to be the hardest worker in the room, and he's already as gifted as that kid is physically and mentally, oh boy, special things happen. I stand by my proclamation. I said before we drafted him, Tua Tagovailoa is going to be a perennial Pro Bowler. And when you guys look back on this channel in 3, 4, 5 years, I want you to remember one of our first videos was that quarterback big board, where your boy had him as the number one quarterback on that big board. Because he's going to 110%. Guys, I'm not one of those people that spouts off faith, spouts off destiny, but you got to ask yourself, when you look at the injury, when you look at how we were trying to tank for Tua, when you look at how the stars aligned, where we didn't have to tank and we still won 5 of the last 6, and he still fell onto our lap.
Absolutely.
And are still saying that the chances of that injury happening again are the same before it happened. It's not only is it meant to be, bro, but it just feels like it's destined to one day be a 30 for 30 of a storybook memory of a guy who people counted out, but he ended up winning championships, bro. So that's where I'm at, bro. I don't look at a lot of players and say, yo, that guy's destined for greatness, but something in me tells me that this kid's destined for greatness, and to quiet down all those haters that didn't want to touch him with a 10-foot pole. So it is what it is, guys. We will see you guys tomorrow night as usual. Until then, y'all already know what it is, boys.
Y'all be safe out there.